Hey, it's Rav. Welcome to the Everyday Investor, the hottest investment show in the world. That's right, I said it. I don't care who knows it. Listen, we all want to grow our money. Money is not the most important thing in life. Relationships are, but money can help. And it is wise to be able to grow our money. And so that's what this show is all about. The challenge is often we take our precious time, we go to work, which is a good thing, we get paid in order to eat. But imagine a life where money could make us money, we could work a little less if we wanted to, and then we could spend that time with family, friends, being involved in something benevolent like a charity. And so every single week we bring different everyday investors on to teach us, everyday people, how to become everyday investors. You could become an active investor, you could be a passive investor where you're just partnering with somebody who's doing the work, all sorts of good things. This is gonna be a great show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Is now you don't have to rezone. So that's a big one because that's it's kind of a money pit, especially for the average person. Most people are not going to be going through rezoning because that's typically the line that you draw between even being an investor and a developer. So
the mortgage world has changed. Has your advice? Are you looking for a modern approach to your mortgage planning process? Advice tailored to your unique, ever-changing circumstances? Whether you're upsizing, downsizing, purchasing, or refinancing, the Kyle Ford Mortgage team works with individuals and companies to custom tailor the right mortgage product for you. Working with a wide selection of lenders, we're here to serve our clients and help them achieve their real estate and retirement goals. Contact the Kyle Ford Mortgage team today, Canada's mortgage choice.
Hi, it's Darren Mitchell from Control and Compound. If you're a real estate investor or business owner, you know the cookie-cutter approach to financial planning doesn't work for you. You've got to be in control of your money. You've got to save and store your money differently than other people. At Control and Compound, we are the wealth coaches for real estate investors and business owners. We show you how to save your money, grow your money tax-free, multiply your money tax-free, and spend it tax-free. To learn more, please check us out at controlandcompound.com/everyday investor, where viewers of this show get a complimentary education session.
Hey, it's Rav. Welcome back to the Everyday Investor. We're talking to our good friend Seif. We're talking about how we can make money investing in garden suites. Seif, thanks so much for being on the show with me. Really appreciate your time.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, Rob.
Yes. So talk to me about this concept of garden suites. Kind of how did you get involved? I know that there's obviously in the GTA, there's demand for housing and this kind of concept came up. But tell me a little bit about your background and then how you kind of landed as one of your investment avenues being the garden suite.
Yeah, so the garden suites are kind of the low-hanging fruit right now. The new bill that was passed, well, it's not new anymore, but it's been 3-4 years, effectively allowing us to not need to rezone any residential properties and still be able to build 4 residential units has got a lot of people really interested because now there's a lot of value add in regular homes that are typically just one dwelling. So my background is I'm a contractor and we have an office here based in Hamilton. We've been doing this since 2016. We do a variety of different types of renovations, residential, commercial, but the one that people like to really hear about is all the laneway housing, garden suites, ADUs, and all that stuff as well, because there's a lot of value there.
Okay, so interesting. So there's different terminology for it, of course, and like, what are kind of the hoops that you have to jump to be able to create a garden suite? I mean, is the government making it easier, Seif, or is it still just as challenging, to do anything with the red tape here in this wonderful country, this province of Ontario? I love living here, no complaints ever, but it's hard to get things done. So tell me about that and your experience with dealing with the government when it comes to laneway, garden suites, additional units.
So they removed one of the red tape rather. And what it is now you don't have to rezone. So that's a big one because it's kind of a money pit, especially for the average person. Most people are not going to be going through rezoning because that's typically the line that you draw between even being an investor and a developer. So it's a pretty big deal, the fact that you no longer have to do any rezoning. So that's made it a lot easier. The building code challenges are, I'm going to say there's still challenges, but no construction project, especially of that size, is not going to have any challenges. But at least they're on a building code standpoint, which makes it more technical and which means that there is a solution no matter what.
And does somebody, so Rav, wants a garden suite, a laneway suite, an additional dwelling to be able to create some income. I can do this with my investment property. I can do this with my principal residence as well, yeah?
Correct. Yes, you can have any property up to 4 units. And depending on the municipality, you'll be able to do something different. So the largest being 800 square feet, and the smallest, for example, being in Brampton, which is 74 square feet, something like that. So around 370 square feet is the maximum you can do in Brampton. So if you wanted to build, for example, a 2-story and you have a property in Brampton, then odds are you're not going to be able to do that. And if you do, it's probably just not good value for money. So you have some limitations, height requirements, square footage as well. And depending on what municipality you're in, you could do a little bit more in others.
Okay. And Seif, what is kind of, are we looking ballpark per square foot to build?
It's nicer to discuss with this firm numbers because a lot of people ask about square footage numbers. They vary a lot. Like I would say bare minimum is like high 200s to 450. And immediately when people hear 450, they say, wow, that's so expensive. But not really because it's such a small footprint. So for example, if you are building a brand new 400 square foot, 1-story, there's minimum costs that you're dealing with. You're still going to have somewhat the exact same size bathroom. The kitchen more or less is the exact same. So those are big lump sum items. So if you're dividing them over a small square footage, the number seems super, super high. So it's nicer to think about it as if I'm building a brand new structure and it's up to 400 square feet in my backyard, you're in $100,000 to $120,000, more or less.
So if it's 400,000 square feet, if it's 400 square feet, that would be 300, or you're saying it'd be about $300 per square foot, so 120 grand. Is that how you got that?
Correct, and that's no basement.
Yes, so that's just one. But the interesting thing about that, okay, let's call it 500 square feet. I'm in for about $150,000. Yeah?
Without a basement?
Without a basement.
Might be in and around
150 to 200,000. Okay, so it's $300 to $400 per square foot. I want 500 square feet. I'm looking at about $150 to $200,000. But here's the good part: how much rent could I charge for that 500 square foot dwelling, brand new, 500 square feet?
Correct. Yeah, it depends on the municipality. You're charging at least $2,500, more or less. Some areas that are closer to Toronto are going to be much higher, right? And the important thing to note is the difference in cost between a new build and an existing, right? The existing is a lot better bang for your buck. That's where the pricing is a lot cheaper. So that $100,000 price tag is for an existing structure that has something in there, no basement, it's just sitting on a slab. Maybe it's an existing oversized shed or a garage or something like that. Once you want to build something new, obviously the numbers go up a little bit. So if you're doing, let's say the exact same scenario, 400 square feet new build versus a retrofit, the new build is around 170. The retrofit is only like around 100.
So for example, let's talk about my place. So my place, I have an attached garage, but there's nothing above the garage. So okay. I could build a dwelling without much red tape, and depending on what municipality I'm in, then that will dictate how many square feet I could do.
Correct.
And let's say I wanted to take this studio that we're in right now, move it above the garage, hey, and so really what your point is the government sees the need for more dwellings, and they're giving us some breaks, not as much as we'd want, but they're going in that direction, giving us some breaks to be able to provide affordable housing. It's great for an investor, it's great for homeowners, and so you've kind of jumped on this, and you see this kind of niche being able to help people do that. Now, in terms of the paperwork, are is your outfit, Seif, is your outfit kind of one-stop shop? How much work does Rav have to do in terms of paperwork, and how much do you take for that?
We would do everything because we work with designers, and we're able to get all the permits and all that stuff arranged for you as well. Right off the bat of day one, we would help you, number one, which is the most important question, figuring out what you can build, if it's eligible or not, and whether what you're expecting and what you can build are the exact same thing. Because the last thing you want to do is bring in an architect and a designer to start with the permit drawings, spend $5,000, $6,000, and then possibly find out that you can't do what you want to do, and now that's money down the drain. So we would, number one, qualify it right off the bat, say, okay, here, look, Rav, you can definitely build something on top of your garage. That's one. Okay, so then we'd get the process started, and it's around $4,000 to $7,000 in design work, back and forth with the city. Could be 2 months, 3 months, sometimes could be even 4 months. Rare cases, it's higher than that as well. Now you have a set of building permit drawings. Then you're like, okay, here, I want to build this. What's this going to cost? Along the way, obviously, there's a few iterative steps where you're going to come and say, okay, well, what is this going to cost me? Is this a $100,000 project, or is it a $250,000 project? So we'd be able to give you some ballpark pricing within, I would say, 10% accuracy. So if you said, I want to build a brand new structure, 1 story, no basement, and there's nothing existing, we'll tell you it's roughly 170. When we get the drawings, we'll know the details. Might be 175, might be 165, who knows?
Yeah, but regardless, I mean, listen, I've been doing this show for 20 years, and everybody knows if you can, invest with the 1% rule, I mean, that's crazy. And that does not exist in the GTA. And for those of you who don't know the 1% rule, you can Google it, or here's what it is. It's basically saying that, can I get, my rent 1% in terms of the purchase price? So that would mean that, let's say I wanted, if I had a rent of $2,500, my purchase price would have to be $250,000. Well, that's impossible. Here in the GTA, my purchase price is going to maybe be $800,000, $900,000 to get a $2,500 rent. What Seif is saying is, you can spend $200,000 and get rent for over $2,000. That's the 1% rule applied. It just happens to have to be a garden suite, a laneway above the garage, so on and so forth. Listen, this is great stuff. Let's look at an example when we come back from the break. I really appreciate, again, your time, your busy time. We're late taping because you're dealing with some stuff here. So I appreciate you taking the time to teach and share the viewers, beloved viewers, of how we can make money investing in the garden suite, laneway, additional dwelling, all that kind of good stuff. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hey, it's Rav. A few years back, I learned about trading stock options by taking the Theta Trading course. My son, my friends, myself, all of us benefited immensely by applying their strategies, and I want you to have that same benefit by taking their course as well. I am not receiving any monetary benefit whatsoever by telling you this. It's just that, as you know, I believe that knowledge mitigates risk. Visit their site to find out more. Hey, it's Rav. Welcome back to the Everyday Investor. We're talking to our good friend Seif. He's teaching us how we can make money with an additional dwelling, whether that additional dwelling is an investment property, whether it's our principal residence. If you've got a a room over the garage, if you've got kind of a laneway where the garage is in the back of your house, if you've got just area in your back, like, Seif, let me ask you that. If somebody just has a large property, can they build something in the back of their property if they wanted to build 500 square foot unit back there? Can you even do that? Obviously, the municipality would have to approve, but have you even seen that done where somebody has a big backyard, the driveway goes up alongside it, and we have a secondary suite that way?
Yeah, that's actually the most typical case.
That's the most typical case. Okay, great. So, and then does the municipality, do they care what the end use is? So for example, let's say I really don't want to put anybody in there. I want to use it as a workshop or as a studio or whatever the case is. They're not involved in like, no, if we're going to allow you to do this without the zoning, somebody does have to move into it. They don't micromanage that into that, do they?
Physically, what goes on? No, but the usage, you have to build it for the anticipated usage. And this new bill is for residential use. So as long as there's like, you're not converting it into a commercial space or something like that, the bill doesn't cover that. No.
Yeah. Yeah, there should be a kitchen, a washroom, a bedroom, that kind of thing, Or, I mean, obviously with that kind of square footage, it wouldn't be its own bedroom per se. It'd be more look like a bachelor kind of thing. But it's not like somebody's coming to visit and saying somebody has to live here. No. Okay. No. This is interesting. And for my sake, like I say, I have a lot of wasted space over a large garage even, and you kind of think about it. I've thought about it. I actually thought about this a couple years ago. It would be interesting if we could, sever, like let's say somebody lives downtown Toronto. They have a laneway type, with a garage in the back of their house. They're not using it. They're never going to use it. It's dilapidated. Why couldn't I buy that garage from them, take title to just the garage, and then build my own dwelling to rent out? It would be amazing, but I think that's just too difficult to be able to separate title on one small piece of, land, call it 30 by 100 kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So right now, you're not allowed to really sever these. Okay. Severance typically takes place kind of in the frontage. So you have like a super wide lot, split it in half, thirds, whatever it is, or much more than that. The play is not quite a severance right now because really you're only maintaining the minimum amount required in order for emergency services to be able to enter and exit. You know what I mean? With just a few feet from one side, and then make it all the way down to the ADU. So there is no severance play as of now. Yeah. If there is one day, then obviously it's a very lucrative opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I'm building something for $200,000-$300,000, and I'm getting my $2,000-$3,000 more of rent, and that'd be a very exciting possibility. Yeah, listen, government, if you're listening and we have a housing problem, let us do that so we can create more suites, because maybe the homeowner doesn't want to do it, but there's people like Rav and Seif that do want to do that. So a little bit of tidbit if you're watching. Okay, Seif, so let's take a look at a typical, a garden suite that you did for somebody. So what city would this be in?
Hamilton.
In Hamilton, okay. So we're in Hamilton, and in Hamilton, you said right now you can build up to how much?
Up to 800 square feet.
And this particular one, how much did we build?
This was existing, retrofitted.
And how many square feet?
It was 400.
400. And it was existing?
Existing.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about the dwelling. Was this somebody's principal residence, or was it you were working on behalf of an investor who bought this?
Yeah, so this is an investor. So it's the main home, and then the garage is next to it. So we have a couple. Yeah, you know what? Let's talk about this one, because this one is done. We have other ones that we're doing now for homeowners where they just want it and they're going to use it as an in-law suite, but it's still under construction. But these ones I can give you final numbers on because they're an investor.
Was this garage attached?
Detached.
Oh, he's detached. Okay, so we're in Hamilton. We got a house here. An investor bought it. but then we've got a separate garage. And so what did we do to that garage?
We converted that into a 1-bedroom unit.
The actual garage or above it?
No, the garage.
The actual
we didn't change
garage.
anything. So we didn't add a second story. We didn't do anything on the outside, just the inside.
Okay, great. So this investor all in for you to do this for him, what did it cost?
$110,000.
$110,000. So
Yeah.
$110K. Wow, that's fantastic. And this is an example that because it wasn't from scratch, it was retrofit, meaning there's already something there and you were just to do something. I got 400 square feet here to have a unit for $110,000. So now, because it's done, Seif, what did he rent this out for?
This one actually ended up getting rented as an Airbnb, and it averages $3,200 to $3,300 a month.
Wow, that's crazy. So
which is, by the way, just to note, a lot higher than the long-term rents, right?
Yeah.
But that number is always a little bit deceiving. Everybody talks about Airbnb numbers and like, wow, look at 3%, but not really, because you almost have to take maybe $700-800 right off the top. You know, $200, $250 in utilities, home insurance. You got to give them internet, stuff like that.
So Seif, you being in this area, if he just wanted to rent it out conservatively, per month, just not Airbnb, but just have somebody move in, what could he get for this?
$2,200.
$2,200. So 24, 26, about 26K. 26K he could get to rent this out in a year. So again, for those that are watching, this only cost him $110,000, and in the first year he's getting $26,000. I mean, we're looking at 23, 24% return on his money, and then every year after that, obviously. And so, no, this is phenomenal. And so this is what you're doing now. This $110,000, obviously, Seif has to feed his family. That's inclusive of that?
No, this is what we were charged for that.
That's what you charge. Wow,
yes.
That's fantastic. So.
Just a retrofit.
Sorry?
It's just a retrofit. We're not building from scratch.
No. I get it. But still, I mean, that's still great numbers. I mean, at the end of the day, we don't have to nickel and dime or look at this or that's too much. At the end of the day, all I hear you saying is you have an investor friend that paid you $100,000 and change, and in the first year, his return is 26.
Correct.
Right? That's fantastic. And if he borrowed a lot of that 110, if not all of it, and he's just paying off the interest, the mortgage, whatever the case is, his return on investment is even higher. So this is what's happening today. People have your information on the screen. Step one is people can call your team just to find out whether what we can do in our municipality, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
That's the number one thing, because everyone wants to know. It's very different if you have an existing structure like this versus if you have a big plot of land and you want to build brand new. Like, I'm going to give the complete other extreme example. Let's say you're building 800 square foot, 2-story new build, and you want to dig out a basement.
Yeah.
It's $310,000.
Okay, so let's go there. So let's just say it was $300K. How much can I get rent for that?
That's a full house at that point. You're not getting any less than $3,500.
$3,500.
Bedroom, new build.
Okay,
minimum.
let's say we're getting $3K. That's my point. My point is where are you going to find the 1% rule in the GTA? In Ontario, where are you going to find the 1% rule? That's why people are moving to Florida and Texas and investing, because you're not going to be able to find that I can get 1% rent per month on the purchase price. So even if you give me that extreme example, hey, I'm in.
It still works. Yeah, the numbers are still good. I tell people this all the time, because people are a lot more conservative when something is a little bit newer and they want to see a lot of proof of concept. And people are like, you know what? No, I want to see comparables. The problem is, once you see the comparables, a lot of the value is going to be gone then, because when you can see it on line items and as a balance sheet, it's kind of gone at that point. But these are the rents, and this is what you're going to be getting. And when your neighbor sells and your neighbor's neighbor sells, and then you have like 3, 4, 5 of them that have already sold in your neighborhood, the purchase price is going to be a lot higher for these properties. So you're going to pay it one way or another. Just the beauty about doing it right now is you're capitalizing on buying this property for much, much less expensive of a price versus when they start becoming more popular.
And time flies when we're being nurtured and having fun, Seif. Last question, how long would something like this take?
4 months.
4 months?
Yes, assuming you're starting in, between, I would say, April to September.
Okay.
As long as you start between April to September. Though we're actually starting one now. So I guess you could start in October, but the weather's been good.
Yeah. Fantastic.
So as long as you can break ground and finish everything that's below grade while it's still warm, then it's like 4 months.
Seif, thank you so much for being on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And now it's time for our teaching tip of the week.
Hi, it's Darren Mitchell, and this is the Everyday Investor Teaching Tip of the Week. We're going to talk about infinite banking for kids, specifically using the product High Cash Value Life Insurance. It is amazing for children. The biggest reason why, they have time. If you can have uninterrupted compounding tax-free for 100 years, the numbers are just mind-blowing. Mind-blowing at 50, 60, 70, they're mind-blowing. But how do you set this up? And most kids don't have a lot of money. Well, there's 3 players in this. There's an owner, there's a payer, and there's a beneficiary. As a parent or a grandparent, you can be the owner, payer, and beneficiary. Your child will be the insured. What rights does that give the child to the policy? Absolutely nothing. You own the policy, you're the payer, you're the beneficiary. You can cancel it and take the money, you can take loans against it. It's your policy. Your child just happens to be the life insured. However, we have amazing tax laws in Canada when it comes to this. Let's say you start a policy, and you could start a policy when the child's 14 days old. So on the 15th day of their existence, you can start a cash value life insurance policy. So you start a policy on a child, they're 1, they're 2, they're 5, they're 10, doesn't matter. Parent funds it, parent funds it, parent funds it. All of a sudden it's time for university. What happens? You can borrow against your policy and pay it back. You're still on that compound interest curve. Your policy didn't decrease a nickel when you borrowed that money. So now you've given your kids a 20-year head start on this compound interest curve. Next thing you know, they want to buy a house, or even better, an income property. We're going to borrow and pay it back. Maybe by the time they're 40, they want to start a business. Borrow, pay it back. Always going to have access to tax-free funds and never going to interrupt the compounding. Now, fast forward all the way to your kids' retirement. Now they have this massive tax-free cash value. They can take tax-free loans on that in retirement and have just an amazing retirement. Now, the kicker is, this is not just helping your kids, but it's helping your future grandkids. Because there's 2 components to a cash value life insurance policy. There's the cash value that your child's going to be able to access for schools, cars, businesses, income properties, retirement. But there's also a death benefit. And the death benefit's going to be paid out, hopefully in 100+ years when your child dies. And who's going to be the beneficiary of that? Well, it's going to be your future grandkids. So a lot of wealthy people use this, a lot of business owners, real estate investors use this to multi-generational planning, tax-free growth, access to money when they need it. Doesn't matter if they go to university, whatever opportunity or whatever expense you want to use this for, you can use that for. Find out more about infinite banking concept for children.
And thank you guys for watching. Without you, we would not have a show. Make sure you go to everydayinvestor.com. There you can see some featured episodes, things that I invest in personally, like land development, things like stock options. It's right there on the website, everydayinvestor.com. You can also sign up for our weekly episodes brought to you directly into your inbox. you want to be able to do that. And then you just want to be able to go to any of our shows via the YouTube channel through the site, so you can watch it on demand, any episode that you want. I've been doing this for 20 years. We thank you so much again for watching. We'll see you next week. Same place, same time. Honey, I love you. I'll be home soon. Bye, everyone.